know it's a bye week. Let's just, do the post-mortem. Let's get straight to it. What were your thoughts on the loss against Clemson?
Yeah, it was a unique week for me because I was actually down there calling the game on radio, filling in for Paul Burmeister, who everybody knows that does the games on the radio and then does a lot of work with NBC. So I saw it in a different capacity than I usually do. And man, they just couldn't move the ball in the second half. And I think Clemson deserves a lot of credit for the special teams work they did, but it was tough to watch. And just, they never could get out of the shadow of their own goal line. They never got across midfield, which was a bummer. It just seemed like every time they took a couple steps forward, it was a few steps back. And I talked with Coach Freeman earlier this week, and I didn't get quite, an in-depth breakdown. I think they're still working through the film and whatnot, but it just was not the offense we've come to see in the last 2 weeks, right? USC and Pitt looked a lot sharper at home. And the last couple drives there in Clemson were just not what we were accustomed to seeing at home the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, can you just kind of paint that picture? What was the environment at Clemson like?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was an awesome football environment. They hadn't been there in 8 years, of course. The last time there was that huge storm. So this was a great day, great weather, which was fun to see. Great fans. I think everything I've heard being around the football program is fans that have come to Notre Dame have treated Notre Dame really well when they returned down to visit because of the experience they had in South Bend. So that was the case when we were at Clemson. Awesome environment. They were a factor, defensively when they had third and fourth down, they were a factor for sure. Really neat to see it. Really neat to see them run down the hill, slap out, walk. Such a cool tradition.
It's a steep hill. I mean, you don't really realize. So wow, it's kind of like.
I don't know how they do it, and nobody's gotten hurt. Dabo's flying down that hill too, record speed. But very cool to see. Just unfortunately couldn't get the result they were looking for getting out of there.
Yeah, it's so interesting. The defense, especially in the second half, it's like how many chances did the offense have to tie the game? Like 4 or 5 in the fourth quarter. The defense kept getting off the field. It's like, okay, it might work. What have you seen from Sam Hartman just recently as you've been covering the team, covering these games? Because it seems like it's almost been like you said, it's not the same offense we're used to seeing, if you can say that with only 10 games.
It's looked different at home than it has on the road, right? And I don't know. I know he mentioned he missed a couple guys, and not with throws. So he did miss a couple throws, but missed seeing certain guys streak open, right? So I don't know what was going on there in the second half. I think when you start inside your 10 so often, it's just tough. He was taking a lot of snaps in the end zone, right? So safety is in the back of your mind. In an 8-point game, that makes it a 2-score game. So I think that played a factor, but they just have been out of sync. Mitchell Evans being out was huge, and he's become such a security blanket for them, and they couldn't find him. So that came to mind. I just think that when they needed big third downs, also, they were in third and long a lot. That's something Marcus Freeman talked about on our show the other day. They couldn't get it to 3rd and 3. It was 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10. So that, I think, has made it tough on Sam. They're having to beat guys on the outside with young receivers. Corey, you played the position, especially that first year, and you're going up against good DBs against Clemson. I know they had guys out in the secondary, but those are big-time ballers on the outside at home with the crowd. So I think it was tough to get one-on-ones and then win in one-on-ones in that game. So that's what I saw up close, and better football minds like you. If you watch the film, you might see something else, but that was my impression down there.
It was a sad weekend.
Yeah, it was a bummer. It was a bummer because there was so much momentum going into that game from USC and Pitt, and it just, the air's out of the balloon a little bit, and then you have to go into a bye week. I mean, you've been on the roster. You don't want to go into the bye week like that. You got to think about it twice as long.